When I talk about a horse's symmetry, I'm talking about their lateral crookedness. So, you see already, I was walking, he took his shoulders this way. This is his asymmetry. He wants to go over this shoulder and his haunches want to fade out. So, if I'm in a vehicle, I can tap to ask his torso to move, but the asymmetry is going to remain unless I can separate out the neck, the shoulders, and the haunches. So I needed to teach him lateral movements. I can do this to a degree on the ground, and I do with the ponies that are too small to ride. With the horses, I believe it's very much in their best interest to learn this under saddle. It's the easiest way to separate out what we want them to know. So again, I'm going to pick up. There, I want the contact to be lighter than it was, which it is. This is very nice. First thing I want to teach him, which I did, is we can, there we go, flex without falling. I can have a little flexion without him falling this way. So if I can flex without falling, that means he can organize his weight in such a way that he can take the flexion to the right, because I'm going right now, and not fall to the right. I want them to know how to organize themselves differently. So now I have flexion to the right without falling to the right. So that's really good. Good kid. The next thing I will teach him, which I did, is flexion and then take the shoulders to the other direction. There. This is how I can say I want more weight on your flexion right. I want more weight over on your left shoulder. Call it counterbend turning. There's lots of names for it. But when I'm on a circle that way, and I need, there we go, I can change the weighting and say, can you bring this over the left shoulder more? Sorry. Good. Lots of long neck breaks. The change of position of the neck is important. If we locked our neck in one position, that would be extremely unhealthy. If we locked our arm in one position, our leg in one position, any appendage locked in one position, it is no longer a healthy position. That's just the way the mop flops right there. So I can also, waiting for the contact to kind of improve, there we go. Flexion to the left, take the shoulders to the right. Now you can work on, if you want to, teaching them to respond separately to a whip aid on the shoulder versus the haunches. I find it simpler and more attainable for drivers to generalize and say a touch on the torso with the whip is move your torso over. That way you can get your flexion. For the more detailed work of shoulder only, haunches only, I will go ahead and ride them. That's just an easier program for me. So once I've taught him that, then I went on to say, okay, I'm going to now address your haunches because I can clearly communicate the flexion. I can communicate where I want the weight of the shoulders. Now I want to communicate where I want the weight of the haunches. Makes things like this much clearer and much easier. So I want a flexion to the left, shoulders tracking straight. So this is flexion without falling. And then I'm going to ask his haunches to come out. So now I have shoulder in. The nice thing is that this being so step by step, I can teach the lateral movements within a couple of weeks. Now they have to get their muscles and their coordination together, but they understand them fairly quickly. So going away, I have flexion without falling. So the shoulders are tracking. And then haunches closer to the wall, shoulder in. This happens to be his asymmetry, so that was pretty easy for him to learn. if I want to have a movement that's going to counter his asymmetry and help to resolve it, I'm going to, this direction, do travers. So I'm going to go flexion, but take his shoulders out, haunches in. And this was a lot harder for him to learn, and it's a lot harder for him to maintain. There. So this is basically the calisthenic that he needs to help with his asymmetry. And I'm going to remind you, he's been here for a month. So of course it's not perfect. And I have to remind him a lot how to maintain the position. There, good. And then a break. Something that has been very telling in the way he organizes himself in the vehicle was when I started introducing half pass. So I want his nose to lead the charge and his shoulders to wait a little bit instead of just turning and going that way. And then haunches to come up here and do some more work. Now, this is not how he was organizing in the cart. He had, when I started working on this stuff, he behaved as if he had shavs on all of the time. So when I would try this, he would counterbend and lead with the shoulders. So that was telling me he was pushing the vehicle around via his shoulders. And without further education that I can give him under saddle, there weren't really any other options. So I want to show him the options of how he can organize his body. He can go shoulder in. Also, these are great strengthening exercises. No one's going to argue with that. Wonderful adduction, abduction, balance changes, posture changes, all good. I'm just really tickled because I get to explore how this helps driving muscles. There we go. Shoulder in. Good. Then travers. Now this way, travers is easier for him because it matches his asymmetry. Funny. That's okay. We can do it anyway. It's still a good exercise. But I would focus. See, he's offering a lot of travers. He's like, I can do that. Oh my gosh, easy peasy, eggs and cheesy. So I'm going to go back and repeat the shoulder in. In fact, if I really wanted to be thorough about it, I would do renvers. This direction. To really counter his asymmetry. There we go. Give him a break. Also, interestingly, if they are asymmetrical, their gaits will have quality problems. They won't be the qualities that they could be. Purity, rhythm, straightness, etc. Half pass this way. I was surprised that it was very hard for him not to fall this way. That's better. So I had to slow his idea of half pass and say, let's stay on all 4 feet. Let's not fall to the inside or fall to the right while going right. Oh, there we go. There we go. There we go. Good. Super.